Welcome to the Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi set, and I am pleased to be joined by former NHL pro, Stanley Cup champion, and now making a difference at the NHL offices, Andrew Ference. Welcome to Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so we know each other going back a couple of years, I think now, and we've chatted about ball hockey. We've chatted about where the game can go, and now there's been some recent developments where the league is making some inroads when it comes to street hockey. NHL Street, a youth street hockey league. How did this come about?
COVID. Yeah. We had a lot of time to think and talk and meet. But in reality, I have some colleagues, obviously now at the NHL, that I've known for a long time. We go back to when I was still playing and developing some of the NHL green stuff. So we've got long relationships. So we've had many long nights of conversation about what needs to happen in the game. But once I started working at the league, then it becomes part of your job, right? Okay. And so our number one mandate is to grow the game. Grow the fan base, introduce new people to the sport. So when you actually start putting it down on paper, like, okay, what's holding people back from being in the sport, right? And you start listing down, whether it's cost or access to infrastructure, or in many cases just culturally. You don't have a family member that was involved in hockey, or you look at the game the way that it's offered in your community, and it doesn't look like you belong there, or that it's a fit for you. And so writing down a list of what keeps people out, and then cross-reference that with a list of how we can, introduce people to the sport and what kids like, what's fun out there, even looking at video games and stuff like that and the sports that are doing it right. And you get to ball hockey, you get to street hockey, easy to access, the least amount of equipment, the ability to have infrastructure anywhere. And then the other side of it is we don't just want to get sticks in hands. We want people to have a good time when they're there. Mm-hmm. So then adding elements like, all right, you got to play music. You got to let's get rid of a lot of the X's and O's and just really enhance the creativity of the game instead of the real structure. So yeah, put it down the list and you end up with this NHL Street.
The merch looks solid, and I got to say, you talk about creating that subculture, right? Which is something that we've seen with And One. We've seen with I'm a big basketball guy as well, so the Rucker Park experience in New York is something that really resonates with me. And growing up in a lot of Canadians, Punjabi Canadians, South Asians in this country. Ball hockey got us into the game. We started playing that before maybe we even got into ice hockey. There's a lot of people that might not know how to skate to this day, but they played ball hockey growing up, and that's how they got into the sport. How important is to create that subculture where it's connected to hockey, of course, but it's its own entity?
I mean, I think it's essential. And One is actually, I'm the total And One guy too, growing up, and the influence of those mixtapes, and you look at what it did to the culture of basketball today. You can credit a lot of that to And One, right? Mm-hmm. The style, the clothes, the music, the moves, everything just kind of loosened the game up and really kind of brought, I think, it to how relevant it is today. The other thing I grew up with was snowboarding videos, Yep. Back in the day they came out, they were the Misfits, the Punks, the different music, the different clothes. Look at the influence on the ski hills, today. Even now all the skiers, they're doing the same tricks, the way that they dress, everything. It's really brought the sport into relevancy and changed it, and I think that's the potential that street hockey can have. It should be its own standalone culture. It should have its own look and feel and its own personalities, mm-hmm. and people doing it. So I think it can have a great pull, on ice hockey and bring it into some, more relevant corners of North America. But you do that by going into different communities, and having their culture influence you as opposed to, pushing hockey culture onto communities. So we want to be open and have this as a sandbox and have it look and feel the way that it just kind of finds its own way. We don't want to have the structure that we're just putting on people. So it's a fun place. I know from our creative team at the NHL, they've had a good time with it, designing new jerseys and just coming up with fun ideas of how we can just kind of give this to the community and make it theirs. And
you've been able to get some of these events out to certain markets, and Vancouver was one of them. You went to Surrey, yeah. Which is a hotbed for ball hockey, street hockey. Local legends like Smitter Kela and others have been in the community for a long time, and it really, not only Vancouver and Surrey, but Brampton, and you go to Alberta and Edmonton, Calgary, there's long-standing tournaments. When you built out that event in Surrey, so Jajad Kela was there, Arshdeep Bains was there. Yeah.
Why
did you choose to go to Surrey, and what did you learn from that event?
Well, I watched the Vice News documentary.
Okay, Smith, yeah.
So, I was like, man, this is awesome. It's so cool. It was done a few years ago, right?
Yep.
But yeah, you got some legends out there and winning world championships and it's a cool culture. It just is, and it's to the earlier point, like, we don't need people to be on the ice to be, part of the hockey community. Like that the hockey community should be as wide as possible, like open our arms up. And we were talking about it earlier, there's floorball in different parts of the world, there's street hockey, even into field hockey. Like, let's start introducing some of these different elements that we're all playing basically the same sport, and we should all be part of the same kind of family, and that's good obviously for us. From a business point of view, at the end of the day, like, we're trying to, like I said, grow fans, grow relevancy into corners of not just North America, but the world, where, NHL and hockey isn't, front page news or anything like that, or you don't have the casual fans that at least have some awareness of, what your sport is. So yeah, whether or not somebody puts on skates, like, I don't care. Like, I care that they come, they have a great time with a hockey related sport. They do it, wearing, different, cool jerseys with, the Canucks on it, or the Ducks or whatever it is. And they walk away at the end of the day saying, like, that was fun. That was really cool. That was awesome. I made some good friends. I had a good time with hockey. And you implant those good memories over time with your sport. And I think that's going to be good for us. That's what we need to do.
So you're set up in a few cities now. Where can people find out more information on NHL Street and how they can get involved? Because I've seen the buzz, I've seen the color schemes and the jerseys and some of the merch that you got on. So there's a lot of excitement. How can somebody get involved?
So NHLstreet.com, of course. You go to the website. You can find select cities right now because we want to do this the right way. So we're not just going everywhere all at once. But we are starting a couple leagues here out in Vancouver and Victoria. Will be one of them, obviously. So we are excited about that. We'll be in Boston, Austin, Texas, Detroit, and a couple other cities. So NHLstreet.com. The big thing for us right now is we wanted to set this up so it's not just fun for the participants, but we really are handing the keys to community organizers. So whether it's the YMCA's or Parks and Rec department, after-school programs, even private entrepreneurs. Like, we want people to be attracted to this program to run it as well, because that's the key to success. To get into the communities where there isn't an NHL team, and the NHL doesn't have a presence. We really are going to count on people that see this as fun, a great opportunity, and we'll be running Street. So we are looking at obviously recruiting operators as well. Okay, so there you go, NHLstreet.com. So hit that up. All right, we have you in studio, so we got to talk some hockey as well. Let's do it. Yeah.
It's not every day that a Stanley Cup champion walks into the studio. So I wanted to hit you on first. We talk about playing in a Canadian market and what it means. So you played in a couple. You played in your own backyard. You grew up in Edmonton. But not only that, you were a captain for the Edmonton Oilers in 2013. You were named captain. And I'm sure it was a dream of yours growing up. But, it was an interesting time in history with the Edmonton Oilers. What kind of pressure do you face being a captain, in your hometown? But let's take that out of the equation for 1 second. In a Canadian market in general.
Well, I experienced both sides of it. In Calgary, that was obviously a Canadian market. It was a little weird because I was playing against, the Flames in the Battle of Alberta. I grew up in, obviously an Oilers fan. But we had really good teams in Calgary. So if you're winning, like, man, playing in Canada is awesome. Like, it's so much fun. When you're not winning, it's tough, like, for sure. Go back to Edmonton, it was a dream for sure. I obviously had moved away for a long time. I was 16, I moved to go play junior, and so half of my life was basically away from Edmonton. But to come back and we were still in the old arena, pull on the jersey, see your name on the jersey. I was lucky enough. I grew up actually a neighbor of Peter Klima. Okay. And so, he used
the world famous helmet. Come on.
Yeah. So he took me to practice once in a while. So I was like in the locker room that I was in when I was a kid, and it was kind of surreal. But reality hits you pretty hard when you start losing, and you have your own friends and family that are like, hey, like, pick it up, let's go. And it's tough. There is pressure obviously being in Canada, and it's what you get paid to do, obviously, to deal with it and to move on. But I won't lie, it was challenging for sure. Yeah, to have a losing record on a Canadian team is tough, and I'm not one to complain about it. Like I said, that's what you sign up for. But I had many dreams about having a great team in hometown, and they didn't come to fruition. But that's all right. I mean, you get on with it, and what can you do? I mean, teams have to lose too. So I am happy to to watch now. And you know, when a city goes through tough times and frustrations like that, you know, to see like Draisaitl and McDavid come in, like it's actually like a sense of relief, because you know that those fans paid, you know, quite a few years of frustrations and whatnot with, you know, and I was part of those teams. So to see them be able to cheer and get excited about playoffs, like it's nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz in that market right now, but our studio is based here in Vancouver.
Yeah.
The Edmonton, you know, great experiences, but as you mentioned, the team didn't have that ultimate team success. Your team in Boston definitely did, and here in Vancouver, they're still getting over it. But when you look at that experience, first question for you is, which fan base actually hates you more? Is it Montreal or Vancouver? Because it's been 10 years, but is there one that just you still hear the chirps from?
Probably Montreal.
Yeah,
but it's almost more comedic. At this point, I think enough time has passed. But it's funny with rivalries, because the rival cities, like, you almost have more respect for them. Like, and so whether it is Vancouver, like that final was crazy, and like I get it. Like, there's that kind of like, but in a certain way, like, you have the most respect for the teams that you really went head to head with, and we did that with the Canadians. Obviously, in Boston, we had some crazy matchups. That final against Vancouver was insane. Like, it really was. Like, if you go back and watch it, like, it was tough and nasty, and like had so many storylines.
Yeah.
So I know as a player, it's easier to be on the right side of history. But I lost in Game 7 too, right? Like with Calgary against Tampa, and as much as I wanted to hate those players, like, I couldn't, because you went to war with them and they earned it. Like, we had a tough team in Calgary, and they won, you know? And so at the end of the day, like, yeah, you hate it and it sucks and you lose sleep and you have some tossy-turny nights, but if you really look at it, like, you really do respect your rivals probably the most, because you gave them everything you had, and, you know, somebody's got to win. But, you know, looking back, yeah, I have a lot of respect for the guys that you go head to head with. So
the 2011 team, you know, we talk about that team and just the unique characters, the leadership you go through up and down that lineup. Do you guys still keep in touch? Is there like a group chat going on right now?
Yeah, there's a group chat.
Okay, yeah.
Luch keeps it alive pretty good. He's probably the most
big Punjabi music fan, by the way. Luch.
Yeah. All right. As he should.
Next time you talk to him, mention Jazzy B. He'll get a big smile on his face.
Good, I will for sure. Yeah, we could text him right now.
Okay, yeah. After we're done doing this,
Tim Thomas pipes in there once in a while. He's come out of the woodwork over the last year, so he'll send some YouTube videos once in a while or whatever. But there is, it's cool. You know, you keep those connections now, and obviously, like, we're dwindling in numbers of guys that are actively playing. So I don't know. It's cool to cheer for some of the guys that are still in the game and still playing. And I don't have to cheer for a team. It's more cheering for individuals.
Yeah, you're cheering for your boys. Totally. Okay, I got to ask you this question because there's so much mystery around this player. Brad Marchand as a teammate.
Yeah.
What kind of guy is he?
He's like the really excited little brother that you like love to have around, but once in a while you got to give him a little tug on the shirt and say, like, dude, come on, like,
settle down.
Yeah. But I mean, I also played with him when he was like a rookie, right, and young, and obviously now he's like a veteran. So I can't speak to like him in a veteran role, but I'm sure he hasn't changed that much.
Okay.
But I mean, he's exactly what you want on your team. Like, those are the guys that bring the energy, they bring the excitement. They're such a pain to play against. But man, he backs it up like every time. Like, he's a wonderful teammate. And those guys that you hate playing against usually are. They usually are really great teammates. And people love having him on the team because it's a long season, right? So having some lighthearted moments and having a guy like that brings the energy and can, you know, spruce up the doldrums of the season, like, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool having the guys like that. Okay, so the trade deadline just passed. You know, if I'm not mistaken, you weren't traded at the deadline, but you were traded a couple times. Before, yeah.
Do you have a trade story or a near trade deadline story even?
Yeah, so I got traded from Calgary to Boston. I was devastated. I thought I was going to be forever in Calgary. I mean, obviously ended up working out pretty good for myself, but at the time I was so rattled. But I was probably about 3 weeks before the trade deadline, and we had played in Buffalo. I think we lost, and it was with Sutter and whatnot. So we were going on to the next city, I think Detroit, and we're all sitting on the bus. Everybody's mad because you know we didn't late, and then we're not leaving, and so we're late. So guys are starting to chirp. And the bus driver like, who's not here? Why aren't we leaving? This and that. And we're probably about 15 minutes late for leaving, and the assistant coach walks on the bus, comes literally like down the aisle and like stops. And he's like, Andy, sorry, you're traded. And like, that's it.
Oh, wow.
And so like literally like grabbing my bag off the bus, like, and like, all right, see you guys. And guys are just like, so awkward.
Just
right?
like, just right off the bus, and you're like, your new life begins immediately.
Super awkward.
Okay.
Like, you know, you're like 3 rows from the back of the bus. You're basically walking up like, hey, see ya, bye. Like, what do you do?
Wow.
Right? And then grab your equipment. And the bus literally just drives away, and you're like, all right, like I guess I'll go to the hotel now, like. And so I was lucky because Tony Ludman was with Buffalo, and so he hadn't left the rink yet, so he literally gave me a ride to the hotel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Call the family. I'm like, I'm not coming home from this road trip. I got traded, and so it's weird. Yeah, it's like super weird, but. It's part of the
It's
deal,
crazy. Outside of sports, that doesn't happen in life, but in sports, it's like we think it's normal. But you just talked about like, hey, yeah, I'm not coming home. I'm on a different road trip now, or I'm going to Boston or whatever. But that's the uniqueness of sports. All right, anytime I do this, I like to end off with a bit of a rapid fire. I'll ask you a question. First thing that comes to your mind, hit me up. Let me know what you have in mind. All right.
All right.
And let's talk about NHL Street. What is the dream location for you? For an NHL Street tourney or league? Like, where do you want to see it played?
The N1 courts, man. Like,
all right.
Yeah, 100%. Like the chain link fence, you know,
nice.
Like good graffiti on the walls. Like, that'd be awesome. That would be so cool.
Love it, love it. All right, next one. Funniest teammate.
Oh, man. Marchand's pretty funny. Like, some of the chirps are pretty good.
Okay, okay. You can't repeat them here, but I imagine.
No, it's too bad. Everything's mic'd up now, but I think I got him in the years before everything was mic'd up, so you get some pretty good ones.
All right, all right. Favorite road city?
DC. I
DC,
like Washington.
really?
Yeah,
okay.
we got some good time there too because you could head up the museums. You know, go to Smithsonian.
Okay.
Bergeron was he's a good like, you know, road mate because we'd go to like the weird restaurants and get, you know, we were like pretend we're foodies.
Nice,
and
nice.
Hit up the odd like Smithsonian Museum or something like that. But that's a cool city.
Okay, toughest player to play against, the one you hated to play against in your playing days, and it could be because they're super skilled or they're super physical, whatever.
Honestly, probably Crosby, just because he wouldn't quit. Datsuk would be the same. Datsuk was actually he might be up there because he actually got hit hard. He was sneaky, like really strong, and when he caught you, it would like hurt.
Okay, the reverse hit.
Yeah, reverse hit.
Yeah.
And then if you like ever got the puck off him, which was tough enough as it was, you knew that he was on you the whole rest of the shift trying to strip you of it. So like you're on edge the whole time, but. It's the guys that never quit, and that's actually like go back. You should pay me for this, but Marchand, like, it is guys like that, right? Like the guys that have no quit in them, and they're like just stubborn. And so yeah, Crosby's like that. Datsuk was like that. They just never stop. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we could go on for another half hour here, but we can't. We got to get ready for the show as well. Andrew,
that's all right.
Thank you so much for coming into the studio and giving us your time. Good luck with the NHL Street leagues as well. Looking forward to that. If you need anything from Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, we love to help out in any which way as well. So thank you very much for coming in.
I really appreciate the support. Thank you.
All right. And until next time, just stay tuned to our YouTube channel as well. We'll have another interview coming up soon, but this one's a good one with Andrew Ference. We'll talk to you next time.